In my mind, I see a line. And over that line, I see green fields and lovely flowers and beautiful white women with their arms stretched out to me over that line. But I can't seem to get there no how. I can't seem to get over that line. That was Harriet Tubman in the 1800s. And let me tell you something. The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity.
What it feels like to be a Black actress today. It's a very loaded statement and very loaded subject matter to talk about, honestly. Throughout American history, Black women have been notoriously used and viewed as objects for sex. From the time that we were on plantations, slave owners or slave masters would rape their slaves at any time, inconsequently, whenever they felt like it, because Black women, Black people, were not people at all. We were objects to be bought and sold. So as we move out of slavery, we see Black women's bodies subjected to a lot of scrutiny, and even more so, very sexualized as compared to our white counterparts. So Black women had bigger breasts, a bigger butt, a bigger frame in general, and it wasn't necessarily seen as beautiful as much as being sexy or wanting something to have sex with. While slavery was ending, a new form of entertainment was just getting started, and this new form of entertainment was called blackface. This was a form of art or theater where white people quite literally painted their faces black and tried to imitate Black people.
You almost had me a job this morning.
Where?
I went down to the post office and asked that man, could he let me have one of them jobs as a letter toter?
No, Cotton, you mean a mail carrier.
And the man said, would you?
When it was time for Black women to be represented on stage, white men would simply put on a dress and play the roles for them. This was an attempt to show the mammy archetype.
If the Confederates hear about this, we're lost, sir.
Now we look at the archetypes that we see in films. To name a few, we have the mammy, who is the servant that is happy, compliant, at all else subservient, does everything for her white masters. She is generally very dark-skinned, very heavy-set, and always wears a smile on her face. Then we have the tragic mulatto, or the character, the stock character that is light in complexion and resembling white, but has Black blood in them, and the tragedy that ensues because of that. Then we have the Jezebel. And the Jezebel is the hoe, to say it plain and simple. She's just the stock hoe. We unfortunately see these trends continue all the way into present day. And I only named the female stereotypes. Now as we move further into the future, we start to see films made that are later named blaxploitation films.
Wrong player. No, please, look, I didn't mean nothing. Please. Oh, no. Now I'm going to give you another slice to match the one you got from that dog-pushing pimp, unless you tell me where he keeps it.
This type of film exemplified the sapphire archetype, wherein the Black woman was very sexualized, but also very angry, very strong, and very violent. As we start to move up through time and hit the late 90s and the early 2000s, we start to see a few different stereotypes. As we see from the Parkers, they represent the more ratchet, if you will, side of family living between a mother and a daughter. And then as we look at movies like Friday, we see the typical ghetto girl, who is a common trope in a lot of American movies even today.
Come over here, ask me for some money. Well, ask that bitch for some money.
We also have films on the sadder side of things, like Precious, where you see a black woman as down and out, having no prospects in life and suffering from the worst of what life has to give them.
I didn't bring her here. Well, why the fuck did she ring my buzzer?
And then we have the black sidekick. We kind of just insert them in the film to make sure that we have people of color, but they don't really serve any purpose.
You know, tall, kind of yells at everybody.
No, why?
Why?
Now for the fun part. We can talk about the wage gap, rather the wage canyon, between white actors and black actors. We can start with Hattie McDaniels, who was the first black woman to ever win an Oscar for her starring role in Gone with the Wind, wherein she played a mammy archetype, which is not that uncommon for us to see. For this role, in our currency today, she earned about $99,000 to play the part, whereas her co-star, Vivian Leigh, earned much more than her at $472,000. As we move forward in history, we can look at Halle Berry, who was the first African-American woman to win an Academy Award for her starring role in Monster Ball. For this role, she earned $600,000. That same year, Angelina Jolie, a far less experienced actress than Berry, came out in a movie called Tomb Raiders. For this role, she earned a reported $7 million. And then as we move into very, very present day, we look at stars Viola Davis and Kerry Washington, who are the leads in How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal. For both of these roles, we would think that these women make a bunch of money, and they kind of do. They make $250,000 per episode. However, when you look at someone like Kaley Cuoco, who is the star of Big Bang Theory, she makes $1 million per episode. Self-help ideology has been at the core of actors and actresses, especially black ones, since acting or performing was available to us. No one has ever helped us. Actually, we were at the very beginning asked to do blackface in order to play a black person. So we have had to make it on our own. We have had to quite literally depend on our community, our support, and try to make the best of a terrible situation. In the beginning, the roles were nothing but negative roles, and you had to take them because you gotta eat. I think that now more than ever, black women are not gonna settle for anything. The worst thing they could have done was showed us that we have power to do whatever we want and that nothing is off limits to us. It's something that has been at the core of the beliefs of black people in America since the beginning of time. It's just been lost for a little bit, and it's been found again, which is amazing. Even though the plight of black people, black actresses has gotten better, we are still struggling as a race overall. Professionally, in business, in education, in most facets in life, we are still behind because we are stuck in this cycle of poverty. Not all of us, but a lot of us have been put in a place to start 3 steps behind everyone else and have never been able to catch up. But I feel like the way that the world is going and the way that we are moving, it's getting better. When I see movies like Get Out and Moonlight and series like Scandal, like How to Get Away with Murder, or even Beyonce's new album Lemonade, it just makes me so hopeful for what is to come in the future. I know that the road ahead of me isn't going to be easy, and the people before me fought like hell to make sure that I had a way to go. And the people before me paved the way for me to even be sitting here and talking about my positive aspirations for the business. I feel like I am another pioneer, and I will be. I feel that I am another pioneer for my craft. And me making it and me being a great representation of what it means to be a Black woman is something that I've wanted my entire life. And I feel like it's gonna be so great to show girls, to show young women that you can do and be whatever you want to be, and you are beautiful and Black, and you can be beautiful, Black, and proud. Who knew?
You know, there's one place that all the people with the greatest potential are gathered. One place, and that's the graveyard. People ask me all the time, what kind of stories do you want to tell, Viola? And I say, exhume those bodies. Exhume those stories. The stories of the people who dreamed big and never saw those dreams to fruition. People who fell in love and lost. I became an artist, and thank God I did, because we are the only profession that celebrates what it means to live a life.